Good evening, and we'll call this meeting to order of the Frankfort Village Board. Tonight is Tuesday, June 20th, 2023, and we ask our clerk, Katie Schubert, to take the roll, please.
Thank you. Mayor Ogle.
Here.
Trustee Ledden.
Here.
Trustee Severia.
Here.
Sorry. Trustee Rigoni.
Here.
And Trustee Petro.
Here.
Trustee Borelli.
Here.
Trustee Rossi.
Here.
Attorney Mahoney.
Here.
Chief Chalepis.
Here.
Village Administrator Pisha.
Here.
Assistant Administrator Barika.
Present.
Clerk Schubert is present, and we have quorum.
Thank you, Clerk. Now, if everyone would please stand with me, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Next item on here is what is called the unanimous consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted and voted on in a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event that item will be removed and the consent agenda will be considered separately. At this time, I ask if any of the trustees would like to remove an item from the consent agenda. Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve this?
Second.
Motion by trustee Savaria, second by trustee Petro. We will go through each of these items. Each of the trustees will read staff report on them, and so that those that are in the audience, as well as those who are watching at home or later, know what the board is voting on. And also, those complete packets are on our village website. So the next item in the consent agenda is the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on June 5th. And we'll go past to the approval of the bills, and we'll go to trustee Petro for that.
Sorry, Meg. Did you have the bill? Mayor Ogle, I apologize. I thought it would said the presenter was Trustee Borelli today. I apologize.
Okay.
And I don't have the Dropbox.
Okay. We are on new iPads now, a new system as of tonight.
Forgive me
so
for the tech challenge.
Yes, it's not as easy to pivot as we might. Trustee Savaria, would you be able to do that? Or Trustee
Sure.
Borelli, were you ready to?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
You want me to do it?
Yes, if you could.
All right, no
Thank you.
problem. All right, I'll make it short then. The bills tonight, Mr. Mayor, general corporate fund was $213,865.29. The motor fuel tax fund was $22,317.13. Capital development fund, $88,207.97. Sewer and water and operations maintenance, $167,417.11. Sewer and water extension fund, $6,045, with the grand total of $497,852.50. That's the bills.
Thank you, trustee Savaria. The next item is also yours as a committee of the whole report.
Sure. First item on the, are we doing committee of the whole? Yep.
Yes.
First item on the committee of the whole, declaration of trust approval, resolution. At its June 14th meeting, the committee of the whole considered a request from staff to establish a relationship with PFM Asset Management LLC and the Illinois Trust in an effort to expand investment options and services for the village. The Illinois Trust is a local government investment pool that provides Illinois school districts, municipalities, counties, and other local governments an opportunity to maximize their income potential while maintaining safety, liquidity, and yield as their primary investment options, or objectives, rather. It was consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to approve the declaration of trust and become a participant of the Illinois Trust Program. The motion before us is to accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole and adopt a resolution approving the declaration of a trust of the Illinois Trust, formerly known as the Illinois Institutional Investors Trust.
Thank you, trustee Savaria. Next item on the committee of the whole report will go to trustee Ledden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 2 is the first amendments to the Asset Purchase Agreement and Wastewater Treatment Agreement Resolution. On August 1st, 2022, the corporate authorities of the Village of Frankfort passed ordinance number 3362, which authorized the sale of unincorporated Timber Ridge Mobile Home Park portion of the village's utility system to Aqua Illinois Incorporated. Aqua recently completed the approval process with the Illinois Commerce Commission. Prior to closing, 2 modifications to the original agreements are required to reflect a new sanitary sewer interconnect point along Harlem Avenue and extend the closing to December 5th, 2023. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to approve the first amendments to the asset purchase and wastewater treatment agreements. The motion before us this evening is to accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole and adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a First Amendment to the Asset Purchase Agreement and First Amendment to the Wastewater Treatment Agreement between the Village of Frankfort and Aqua Illinois Incorporated in regard to certain assets, properties, and rights of the village owned and used in connection with the water and wastewater systems serving an area commonly known as Timber Ridge Estates located in Cook County, Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Ledden. Now we'll go to Trustee Borelli. Actually, Trustee Borelli, you have the next 4 items.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. First one is the 2023 roadway maintenance program. The village's annual FY 23-24 budget includes $7 million in the General Capital Development Fund for the roadway maintenance program. The village solicited competitive bids from qualified contractors for the resurfacing and maintenance of 43 street segments. The village received 5 bid proposals for the project. The low bidder was PT Faro, with a bid proposal of $5,971,359.05. The low bid was approximately 6.5% below the estimated cost. At its June 8th Committee of the Whole meeting, we reviewed the bid proposals and forwarded a recommendation to the village board to accept the low bid and award the contract to PT Faro. Staff was asked to work with the village engineer and PT Faro to add additional streets to the contract. 2 additional streets were added to the original bid proposal for a total of 45 street segments, and construction cost was increased to $7.1 million. The motion before us tonight is to accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole and adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract with PT Faro Construction Company for the 2023 roadway maintenance program in an amount not to exceed $7,100,000. The next item is the roadway maintenance program engineering services agreement. We also recommended for approval as part of the 2023 roadway maintenance program is a professional engineering services agreement with Robinson Engineering. The schedule of fees for engineering services is 4% of the awarded contract. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board authorizing the execution of the professional engineering services agreement. The motion before us tonight is to accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole and adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a professional engineering services agreement between the Village of Frankfort and Robinson Engineering associated with the village's 2023 roadway maintenance program. Next item is the replacement brush chipper purchase and disposal approval. At its June 14th meeting, the Committee of the Whole reviewed a request from Superintendent Kessel to purchase a 2023 Moorbark 1821 brush chipper from Alexander Equipment through the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program to replace a 2011 Vermeer wood chipper for the village's branch collection program. Alexander Equipment provided a bid of $84,530 for the 2023 brush chipper and provided a trade-in allowance of $20,000 for the 2011 wood chipper. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to approve the purchase of the replacement wood chipper in the amount of $64,530. And I could tell you firsthand that we desperately need that chipper. I saw it today and they were struggling mightily with it. So the motion before us tonight is to accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a 2023 Moorbark Eager Beaver 1821 brush chipper from Alexander Equipment of Lisle, Illinois for a total cost not to exceed $64,530 and the disposal of a 2011 Vermeer wood chipper as a trade-in. The last item I'm presenting here is the mini excavator purchase approval. The committee also reviewed a request from Superintendent Kessel to purchase a 2023 John Deere 60G mini excavator from Westside Tractor Sales through the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program as well in the amount of $103,245.69. Staff reviewed several different styles of mini excavators and felt the John Deere 60G would be the best fit for public works projects. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to approve the purchase of the mini excavator, and the motion before us tonight is to accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole and adopt a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2023 John Deere 60G compact mini excavator from Westside Tractor Sales Company for a total cost not to exceed $103,245.69. That concludes my part of it, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Borelli. Now we'll go to Trustee Now we'll go to trustee Rossi, so you can get a breath there.
Disposal of surplus squad vehicles. At its June 14th committee meeting, the Committee of the Whole reviewed a request from the Police Department to dispose of 3 squad cars no longer of use by the Village of Frankfort via Martin Auction Services in Clinton, Illinois. It was a consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the Village Board to adopt an ordinance disposing of these surplus vehicles. The motion before us is to accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance disposing of 3 surplus vehicles via Martin Auction Services in Clinton, Illinois. Next one, Axon Services and Purchase Agreement Approval. The Committee of the Whole also considered a request from Deputy Chief Keegan to enter into a 5-year agreement with Axon Enterprise, Inc. for the purchase of video components, which includes body-worn cameras, in-car cameras, interview room cameras, and an integrated digital evidence management system. The video system will provide full integration, and Axon is considered the industry leader in this field. These purchases will satisfy the requirements of the Safety Act, which contains a provision which requires all law enforcement agencies to employ the use of officer-worn body cameras by specific dates based on municipal population. The village is required to implement body-worn cameras no later than January 1st, 2025. The lead time for delivery, training, and installation of our in-car cameras is 10 to 12 months. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to enter into a 5-year agreement with Axon for the purchase of video components. The motion before us: accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole and adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a service and purchasing agreement between the Village of Frankfort and Axon Enterprises, Inc. for a term of 5 years and a total amount not to exceed $428,620.80, which comes out to $85,724.16 annually, for the purchase and servicing of body-worn cameras, in-car cameras, interview review cameras, and an integrated evidence management system. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, trustee. And now we will go to trustee Rigoni for an item from the Plan Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 86 Degrees Auto Group LLC special use permit for automobile sales, 9232 Gulfstream Road, Unit C, ordinance. The applicant, Yaxine Yu, proposes to operate 86 Degrees Auto Group LLC, an auto dealership at 9232 Gulfstream Road, Unit C, within the Airport Industrial Park. The applicant indicated that the vehicles will be kept within the interior of the 3,400 square foot tenant space, which will serve as the showroom for the used vehicles. To accommodate the business operation, the applicant requests the granting of a special use permit for auto sales. At its June 8th, 2023 public hearing on the project, the Plan Commission forwarded a unanimous 7-0 recommendation to the Village Board to grant the special use request. The motion before us is to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance granting a special use permit for outdoor sales, automobile sales, to operate located at 9232 Gulfstream Road, Unit C, to permit the operation of 86 Degrees Auto Group LLC in accordance with the reviewed plans, public testimony, and findings of fact, conditioned upon there shall be no sale of inventory vehicles displayed and/or stored in the existing exterior striped parking spaces, and the applicant and/or the property owner shall install mesh screening on the existing chain link fence that encloses the outdoor storage area prior to occupancy of Unit C.
Thank you, trustee Rigoni. Those were all the items that are on the consent agenda, but trustee Rigoni, you would like to make a statement at this time, correct?
Yes. As you may know, I am employed part-time by Robinson Engineering, Ltd. For the record, I am not an owner, officer, or registered agent and do not have any financial interest in Robinson Ltd. beyond my part-time employment. However, I will be abstaining from the line item of C-4 on the consent agenda. And my vote will apply to all other line items.
Thank you. So clerk, and so everyone understands that the vote on the consent agenda will apply to all those items except as explicitly stated. And now we will go to our clerk for the vote.
Trustee Severia?
Yes.
Trustee Rigoni?
Yes.
Trustee Petro?
Yes.
Trustee Borelli?
Yes.
Trustee Rossi?
Yes.
And Trustee Ledden?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you and congratulations. We have several items from the Plan Commission that were going to be discussed and considered individually. And so the first one is Sparks Coffee, which will go to Trustee Savaria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item A, Sparks Coffee Co., Hickory Creek Marketplace Outlot 1E ordinances. Ordinance 1, Major Plan Unit Development Change, and Ordinance 2, Special Use Permits for Carry-Out Restaurants, Drive-Up Service Windows, Outdoor Seating, and Extended Hours of Operation, 5:30 a.m. to open. Applicant Aliana Winkle requests Village Board approval of a major plan unit development change and 4 special uses for Sparks Coffee Co., a drive-through coffee shop, on the final undeveloped outlot in Hickory Creek Marketplace Shopping Center. Customers would have the option of using the drive-through windows and taking coffee to go or parking at the site and ordering from a walk-up window. The special use requests are for a carry-out restaurant, drive-up service windows, outdoor seating, and extended hours of operation permit, 5:30 a.m. opening. At the June 8th, 2023 public hearing on the project, the Plan Commission discussed the site architectural, landscape, photometric, and signage plans for the proposed project. The commissioners forwarded a split 6-1 recommendation to approve the major PUD change and 4 unanimous 7-0 recommendations to the Village Board to grant the special use request subject to several conditions. The dissenting vote took exception to the architecture and the building materials and felt the development did not reflect a unified design of the original Hickory Creek Marketplace PUD. The first motion before us is to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance approving the major PUD change to Hickory Creek Marketplace for construction of Sparks Coffee Co., a drive-through coffee shop on Outlet 1E in accordance with the reviewed plans, public testimony, and findings of fact conditioned upon final engineering approval. Building exterior shall reflect standard brick instead of thin brick veneer. Landscaping be added around the trash enclosed as illustrated on sheet A305. A brick sample shall be submitted for staff review to confirm the proposed brick and stone colors will match the existing brick and stone colors. And light fixture and pole details for the proposed parking lot lights shall be submitted for staff's review to confirm color consistencies with the existing parking lot lights. The second motion is to accept the Plan Commission recommendations, waive first and second readings, and pass an ordinance granting special use permits for the carry-out restaurant, outdoor seating, drive-up service windows, and extended hours of operation, 5:30 a.m. Monday through Saturday, and 6 a.m. opening on Sundays to permit the operation of Sparks Coffee Co. proposed for Outlot 1E of the Hickory Creek Marketplace in accordance with the reviewed plans, public testimony, and findings of fact conditioned on final engineering approval.
Okay, so Trustee Savaria has made the motion on the first one, and I think we consider these both separately, George. So if we can get a second on the first motion, and then we can get into discussion on that. Second. Trustee Ledden with the second. All right. Is the applicant here from Sparks? Okay, all right. Just if we have questions, so that we know that you're here. And what's your name, ma'am? Aliana. Aliana, okay, thank you. I believe we have samples that are here for the brick. And that was one of the concerns. There was also, I didn't notice it in the motion here or these other papers, was there something about the ladder? We received an email today that the ladder would be interior now.
Shopping center bricks that are there. Yep.
Would anyone like to see the brick samples up close, physically?
I just have a question. Did staff give any indication as with whether they felt that they were consistent with the bricks that were out there, and also particularly in the size of the bricks that were out there?
Yes.
Are they the exact same size and so forth?
Basically, if you see from the picture, they're a pretty close match to, obviously, it's hard to come up with the exact same because of the fact that of the age of the shopping
Right.
center. But, Mike did go out and inspect, and the color is consistent. I'm not sure about the exact size of the.
Yeah, because the size would also impact, as the bigger the brick, the less of the mortar, the smaller the brick, the more of a mortar, which would kind of throw that off in terms of consistency.
Yeah, they're just a little bit, they were trying to decide the exact shade. You can see it's just a shade off, so they provided 2 samples to be able to decide which would be a closer match. But you can see they're actually fairly close by, either one of them are actually pretty close in the photo.
Yeah.
And you can see actually when they're next to each other, they're fairly close in shade.
What's the difference in this one? Is it
Mhm.
brown
Do
color?
look smaller.
Bob, is there stone on the measurement? Do you have a picture of that? Or-
There actually, there isn't really any. Yeah, it's not on all of them, so again, that's why you can see like the column that was right there that he took a picture against was just had concrete below, so there is
Gotcha.
stone on some of it, so again, I think the applicant did a pretty good job of trying to match fairly closely to what was existing.
Yeah, it looks like the one on the right would be the closer, but
Yeah.
Imagine it's on the pillars.
yeah, it would be good to see.
Would we like to start comments down at one end and work our way?
Actually, I was thinking of deferring to trustee Regoni and taking her
Okay.
recent history with the plan commission, see if she had some thoughts to share.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Trustee Regoni, feel free to start.
I would have rather taken all the word that Borelli had to speak. This came before us, I think, twice or 3 times. I actually was one of the 2 dissenting votes originally because of the architecture. Right now, I feel like we're there, but we've got a little bit more to go. I know that they incorporated the arch. For me, it was mostly trying to make sure this was the last piece to the puzzle that was out there, and how to make it look cohesive, that it was not going to stand out. It has come a long way, but I think that for me, in looking at it and what is there, none of the buildings have that, particularly in that north portion, have that stark panel on the front. It's all arches. Also, the red banding seems to be very kind of setting itself apart. I think that in terms of what we've looked at in other colors and other businesses down there, is that allowing them to have the stripes as accent at Steak and Shake, even then in, I think the rest of it outside of Imagine, the anchors. So there was a lot back and forth. I even think that it came as to a committee of the whole here at one point and back. For me, this is a planning and development. It's the last piece of the puzzle. I think that they have come great strides with the arch. I personally feel that the front portion of it, or the south portion of it, is still the part that we're really gonna see coming in and pulling in there. We've kind of held our feet to the fire. We've even had corporates, national chains change to fit our architectural, whether it's Freddy's or whether it is the Taco Bell, which was a Long John Silver at the time, or the Aldi, or all of those that we had. We really pushed them to get out of their comfort zone, and they did that. Even our Steak and Shake is like no other. So I feel that even if we can get the national change to do it, I think that this is even more important on the last piece here, because it is what you see coming north into our town. So my concern has always been the architecture. My other votes were always in favor as the Plan Commission in terms of the drive-throughs and so forth. I would like to see this develop, but I want to make sure that we're holding to the standard that we've had in the past.
Okay.
I can comment.
Trustee Savaria? Sure.
Is that all right, Trustee Petro? I would echo what you were saying. I mean, I think the rest of the architecture looks good. But I did sit on the Plan Commission with Trustee Rigoni and echo what she said, especially about the stripe. What I'd like to see is maybe the red stripe removed, and maybe that front piece or the side piece lowered to the same elevation as the rest of the brick, so it doesn't stand out so much. I guess the question is, if we vote no, are they waiting a year to bring this back? What's where do we stand with this?
Them.
Trustee, I think that you're on the money, that we would have to delay for a year to come back for reapplication.
Is there any way we can, ask them to take this away without voting on it, or?
Yeah, you can certainly send it back to the Plan Commission, or you can table it to, consider it further.
Because I don't want to penalize the applicants. I agree with Trustee Rigoni. I think we're very close. The red stripe, I mean, if Freddy's, we worked with them. They were very strict on what they thought that they should have because of corporate. But in the end, they came back and they, did what we asked. We had a couple other corporate companies. One was a daycare who had, very specific signage that they were wanting, and we pushed back because of our ordinances. And again, they did what we asked. And so I don't want to penalize you guys. I'd like to kind of send this back, and maybe you guys can just tweak a couple things, because I do think we're close. But that's kind of where I'm at, Mayor.
Are we at items that we have the applicant here tonight that we could amend this, and that if it's agreeable between
I
the
would be
village, that we
perfectly
could
fine.
possibly
Maybe
move forward, or the other option would be to send it back.
Can we bring the applicant up and discuss, or? Do we want to hear from the rest of the trustees first?
Would you like to make comments first before we bring the applicant up?
Sure.
Sure.
Go ahead, Jess.
So
No, bring her up, I'm fine.
I would echo some of the sentiments. I remember we were standing out there with Starbucks, and really a focus on the brick in the front that complements the back. And so I don't know, Rob, if you were able to confirm the size of the brick, but I do think that that's an important piece that we would want to address, because they do appear to be smaller, but I can't tell based on that sizing piece. And I would agree. I think that there's a place to complement some of these modern aspects of the building, but base it in the foundation of the architecture behind you. And I think you're really close on what would finish that complex out. Thank you.
Trustee Borelli?
Mayor, I'd have similar comments. Definitely agree with Trustee Savaria on the red stripe. I'm still having a difficult time I wish I had more perspective of the rest of the development, but at least the brick from this looks pretty close. I can't tell on the stonework, but I think it's relatively close. So really my biggest concerns as I look at this is the red stripe, and then that facade at the top that's kind of tall, and I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, if they brought that down to the level of the brick, so it wasn't so high and didn't stand out so much.
Yeah.
Oh, is that concealing mechanicals or something on the, it doesn't look like it's on the rest of it, but there's,
Yeah, it looks like
side
it's a
view.
parapet at the top.
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
Looks like it's covered on the side at a different height.
Yeah.
yeah.
Make
But-
it flush.
Can bring 'em up.
Trustee Rossi, did you have a comment?
Actually, the only thing I have the problem with is the stripe. I'm not a real big fan of the stripe. I don't know if that could be removed easily. I don't actually have a problem with the facade wall.
Okay. Trustee Ledden, you reserved your comments, are you?
Yeah,
good?
thanks for
Okay.
coming back to me. So I also appreciate the insight that trustee Regoni shared with regard to the Plan Commission. Obviously, we know this project's been out here for a while, and it's good that it's getting close. I agree with the things that have been said here. We don't want something that's starkly different from what is in the rest of the plaza, and, if we can do some conditions on the motion, that may be the path for tonight.
Okay. Ms. Winkle, would you care to come up and? Good, thank you for being here tonight. So as you've heard, it seems that
Right.
probably the big sticking point is the red stripe and also the height of that south-facing, which is where your logo is at, to bring that down. I don't know if there's any other huge sticking points, but I think that might be something that if we can get agreement, we can amend that.
Okay.
Um,
Seems it's unanimous, so it'd be right to just amend it back to the Plan Commission.
Would you rather have it go back to the Plan Commission?
It's better than waiting a year to
Well,
reapply,
Well,
if it were to get voted on tonight.
Yes, if it were to get voted on tonight, we could, with your agreement between two parties would be to remove the red stripe and maybe bring the height of the front down, and then there could be a vote on that tonight, and that could all move forward. If we were to vote without making changes, there's a chance it could go up or down either way, but otherwise it could go back to the Plan Commission for you, the refinement, but I'm sure what will happen is that basically the red stripe will again be an issue.
Okay. The red stripe was the feature for the Steak and Shake, and for the other outlets was that they had the striped canopies, and when we were at the public hearing, they said the red stripe was our sticking point as our outlet, that was our, I guess, part of our brand. But seeing as though it kind of raises some red flags, I'd like to take it back and amend it back to the Plan Commission, just to kind of assess it between myself and my team. I
Okay.
don't want to make that decision right now, and,
Okay,
I don't want to make that decision right now.
okay,
I'd rather go
that's
back.
fine. So we currently have a motion on there. George, would be,
Withdraw.
yeah, trustee Savari and trustee Ledden. So we withdraw that motion and we just
So what I'd suggest the board consider is to withdraw the second and then the motion, and then there's nothing on the table. And then the second component would then be to move to return this to the Plan Commission for further consideration.
Okay. All right, so trustee Ledden, you had a second. You're looking to remove the second.
Yes.
We need votes on all of these as we go, George, as
Yes.
well? All right. Go to our clerk.
just to be clear, Mayor, we're voting to remove it?
We're voting to remove the motion and, at the applicant's request, essentially, to return this back to the Plan
Gotcha,
Commission.
okay.
So it won't be voted on today. There won't be a year of suspension of that,
Yeah.
there's some time to work it out still, and, but when it comes back.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
So we need to clean up our paperwork here.
Motion, if it's withdrawn, then the next motion would be that you would vote on is to return it to the commission.
Okay. All right, so we need a motion and a second, and then a vote to return it back to commission. Okay. Can we get
To
those?
withdraw.
All right, so we have, all right, so we have a motion to withdraw already, but now we need the motion to return it to the Plan Commission, I believe.
Correct.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so trustee Savaria has made the motion to return to the Plan Commission. Could we get a second?
Second.
Trustee Ledden has a second, and now we go to our clerk, Katie Schubert, for the vote.
Okay, so there's two motions though in this.
So we didn't vote on the motion to withdraw, so we need to vote.
Do we need to vote? We don't need to vote on it.
We're good,
So
Rob,
we're withdrawing.
because it's, with the withdrawal, there's nothing before the board.
Okay. So now we're voting to send it back to Plan Commission.
Yes.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. All right. Trustee Zavaria.
Yes.
All right. Trustee Rigoni.
Yes.
Trustee Petro.
Yes.
Trustee Borelli.
Yes.
Trustee Rossi.
Yes.
Trustee Ledden.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Wingo.
Thank you.
So it'll be going back to the Plan Commission, and Mike Schwartz or Chris Kruba will be contacting you. Thank you so much. All right. So, now we have another Plan Commission item that we're discussing separately, and this is Grounded Coffee, and we'll go to Trustee Rigoni.
Thank you, Mayor. Grounded Coffee Bar Special Use Permit for Outdoor Seating, 19 Ash Street. The applicant, Stephen Giannoni, proposes to install a temporary outdoor seating area along the north facade of the old Frankfort Mall building, adjacent to the existing Grounded Coffee Bar located at 19 Ash Street. The outdoor seating area would measure approximately 735 square feet and would be enclosed by the existing split rail fence adjacent to the public sidewalk along Kansas Street. The applicant requests approval of a special use permit for outdoor seating associated with a permitted restaurant. At its June 8th, 2023 public hearing on the project, the Plan Commission forwarded a unanimous 7-0 recommendation to the Village Board to approve the special use request. The motion before us is to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance stating a special use permit for outdoor seating to the property located at 15 Ash Street to permit the installation of an outdoor seating area along the north facade of the old Frankfort Mall building adjacent to the existing coffee shop to accommodate the operation of Grounded Coffee Bar, 19 Ash Street, in accordance with the reviewed plans, public testimony, and finding of fact, with the condition that if the outdoor seating area is replaced with a building addition, the special use permit will become null and void.
All right, thank you, Trustee Rigoni. This is something that's already in place temporarily, but there are, I think, a couple concerns. Just want to make sure that we're clarified. Is anyone here from Grounded Coffee? No, okay. All right, so we don't have anybody from this applicant, but
What were the, do we know what the concerns were, why this was pulled?
we'll get a motion in a second.
All right.
And
So
then,
moved.
Yep, okay. All right, so Trustee Savaria and then Trustee Burley with second, okay. There were some questions, we can go through the trustees, but just very, very simply, what I had heard and what I thought should be discussed was also that this is a temporary setting. We've required all the other restaurants on that street to have similar type fencing. There's a split rail fence, which does not really match with what's going on. We've got a possible development, which would void anything anyway. So I think maybe we look at, like we did with the sidewalk cafe areas, where they have a time for this season, and then we'll look at it again, that this is a temporary, so that the split rail fence doesn't have to come down, but I wouldn't want to see that split rail fence there with outdoors for the next 4 years, 5 years. And that's what residents have expressed to me, and that's why I thought the board should consider it, that there be, we've required Fat Rosie's, Trails Edge, and all of them to have an upgraded fencing that also matches the rest of the area, and that area should have it too. I don't think it needs to be imposed on them immediately, but if this goes on beyond the sidewalk lease time that we typically have, which I think goes sometime into October, that, and they do not start on the building, that that fence be upgraded to, the aluminum fencing. No, I think people are enjoying it. People are loving the outdoor dining, and they like being outside. There was a concern about consistency with the bathrooms, but those are discussions for the trustees. And if there's not any issues otherwise, we have a motion and a second, and we can go forward.
Do we have to make the motion and say that it will be till the end of the lease period this year, and then it will be reconsidered?
Well, that would be the discussion, if the board, that's the way the board wants to go. I would like to see,
I think
Good
that's
discussion.
a fair proposal.
Yeah, I would agree with your comments, Mayor. That's why, was actually a question I had, because I didn't get a chance to go through go to the Plan Commission meeting, but
Yeah.
exactly, this should have an end date to it. I agree, the split rail fence is fine for this year, but right, if this continues, then I think they should also have to upgrade the fence. And so I agree with your comments and would like to condition it if the rest of the board agrees.
What is the timeline? Because I think they're on lease space, we know that, but what's the sidewalk? Because the street's gonna close before the sidewalk, so are we gonna run it in
Is-
parallel to the sidewalk lease?
Like October
Yes.
is what he said.
Yes.
End of October?
Yeah, the
Okay.
cafe lease, like we called it, I
Like
think
we-
goes sometime into October.
I think it was like,
31st.
I think it was
October
Halloween, yeah, that's what I was
31st,
thinking.
okay.
Okay, so if we wanna add that, I think that's relevant.
And I think people are enjoying that outdoor coffee spot. They were enjoying it for the concert the other night. Very much in favor of what they're doing, but in the consistency of the look, the split rail fence
Yep.
just doesn't do it.
I would agree. We've held feet to the many of outdoor seatings, and not only our downtown, but also in other areas that I would like to ensure that we can be consistent, but also recognize that this has the opportunity to be a temporary situation.
Okay. Well, we have a motion and a second. George, we remove these, or we amend this, or how do we go about adding these conditions, or what should be the process?
I think it would probably be, the board would really have a couple different options. First is to get the ordinance in a fashion that would be in conformance with the discussion the board had tonight, or secondly, to move ahead and make those amendments now from the board table, so that it's done in one meeting.
Which of our trustees would like to make the motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve on the condition that it ends with the lease of the sidewalk at October 31st, if that's the date.
Okay. So second by trustee Petro.
Last question, one more question, Mayor.
Yes.
The tables, I mean, is there some standard on the tables that they're using? No?
No, there isn't a specific
Okay.
guideline on tables
Okay.
I just have a quick question with regard to the modification to the motion. If the project for the building were to go forward, would that happen before October 31 potentially, where they would need that space? Should we-
There's a clause in the original motion.
Yeah, any of that will be void if they do in addition to the building, so any of our discussion, so that'll go away completely, that space.
Right, but I just mean now that we added a date to it.
So what the condition almost be is if the condition of the outdoor seating is replaced with a building and/or before October 31st, whichever comes first.
Sounds like,
Good to go.
sounds like legalese to me. The first party, the second party, yes.
Mayor, if I could just get clarification so we know for the minutes. We had the original motion and second for this. We didn't withdraw the original motion, but now we got another motion and second for the conditions. So,
We had a motion from trustee Severia, seconded by
Trustee
trustee
Burrell.
Borelli.
Yeah, we had the first motion.
Now we've had the amended motion, which is from trustee Severia, seconded by trustee Ledden. So where do we,
Petro,
or I'm sorry, Petro.
so George, how do you handle the original motion?
Withdraw the motions and redo them so that it's clear to the board what the issue before you is.
So we need trustee Savari and trustee Borelli to withdraw their original motions.
Not to make this complicated, but because
trustee Rigoni. Did you read this one?
She did.
And so
So why don't,
she's making the motion, isn't she?
why don't I make a motion to amend my original motion?
Yeah,
I make to amend my original motion, and my original motion would read, as stated up until 19 Ash Street in accordance with the reviewed plan, public testimony and finding of facts, with the condition that the outdoor seating is to be replaced with the building addition in or before October 31st, whichever may come first.
And then the second would have to be re-seconded.
Yes.
second.
Okay. And now we'll go to our clerk for the vote.
Who's on first?
1 sec. Okay. All right. Trustee Rigoni.
Yes.
Trustee Petro.
Yes.
Trustee Borelli.
Yes.
Trustee Rossi.
Yes.
Trustee Ledden.
Yes.
Trustee Severia.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Now, we have another plan commission item that was being discussed separately. And this one had not received a favorable recommendation by the plan commission. We'll have trustee Ledden read through this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this one is the Snap Meta Residence Fence Height Variance located at 8563 Stone Creek Boulevard. Homeowner Jordan Snap Meta proposes to construct a 5-foot-tall wrought iron fence along the secondary frontage of the property located at 8563 Stone Creek Boulevard. The house is a corner lot with frontage on both Stone Creek Boulevard and Bluestone Court. The applicant seeks approval of a variation from the zoning ordinance to permit installation of a 5-foot-tall decorative fence. The request for the fence height variance was first heard at the May 11, 2023 public hearing on the project and continued to the June 8, 2023 meeting. The Plan Commission forwarded a split 6-1 recommendation to the Village Board to deny the fence height variance request. The majority of the commissioners felt there was no hardship. The following motion did not receive a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission and will require an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the trustees. The motion before us this evening is to waive the first and second readings and pass an ordinance granting a fence height variance from the 4-foot front yard height requirement to 5 feet for the property located at 8563 Stone Creek Boulevard in accordance with the reviewed plans, public testimony, and standards for variations. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Ledden. Can we get a second before we consider this?
Second.
Second by trustee Borelli. Just as is noted there too, is that it did not receive a favorable recommendation. It requires an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the trustees. And as I received information, the mayor does not vote on this one, even in a case of a tie, since it was a.
Because it requires a specific number of votes by ordinance.
Yes. Are you the applicant now? Okay, all right. So if there's, we can start with the board members with their comments, or if you'd like to make a statement since you're here. But maybe we'll start with our board comments first, unless the board wants to move forward to the vote. And the vote, the motion's in the affirmative, but people would be voting yes or no to whether to sustain the Plan Commission's denial. Trustee Ledden, we start with you.
Yeah, I guess simply stated, it's an issue with the height, right? So, and Plan Commission found that there was no hardship in their opinion that justified it. So I guess I'll just reserve comment till I hear from the applicant as to why 5 feet is better than 4.
Okay.
And is this a privacy fence?
No, it's an aluminum fence, wrought iron. It's not privacy, you can see straight through it.
This is similar to the same fence you put around pools the village requires? That type of wrought iron fence? Okay.
I was just reading, it says the fence would be placed, the fences within the required 30-foot front yard setback must be decorative in nature, being at least 50% visibly transparent. So that meets that?
Yes.
But it doesn't meet the 4-foot tall? Yeah, I would defer. So typically, in order to get a variance, you have to have a land hardship, right? So I'd be curious what your land hardship was that would require that variance.
Why don't you come on up?
Hi. So the way that my house is situated on my lot, if I were to follow the zoning guidelines of Frankfort, in order to have a 5-foot fence, I need to move the fence 30 feet off the sidewalk. That 30 feet goes almost directly halfway through my backyard. So that was why I had proposed to move the fence 20 feet closer to the sidewalk, so I would still be 10 feet off the sidewalk, so that I have access to the usable space in my backyard. And as far as why I'm looking for 5 feet rather than 4 feet, unfortunately, there's an aggressive dog right behind us, and I have a 2-year-old son. So at the end of the day, I'm really just trying to protect my kiddo. I want to feel safe with him out in our backyard. 4 feet does not feel safe to me, just with the aggressive dog that we have so close by. So that's really why I'm going for 5 feet rather than 4.
How big is the dog?
I haven't gotten super close to it, but it's a large aggressive pit bull.
And do they have an invisible fence, or?
They just put up a fence because they have a pool, but their dog, they walk it in the front of their house, which is directly behind my house. So it's not inside a fence often.
So they do have an invisible fence?
No, they don't have an invisible fence.
How do they keep their dog contained?
They walk it on a leash.
Okay, so they're not letting it out roam?
No, it is not roaming free.
Okay.
My concern is if the dog is ever not on a leash, if it gets out, if it gets through its fence, or breaks away from its owner, that's truly my concern.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
I had the opportunity to go look at it because I was trying to figure out the corners. Your house is positioned a little differently on the corner than I've seen on other corner lots, so I can appreciate where that 30 feet would kind of cut into your usable space. But I think, you know, as we reflect on the ordinances and why they're there on the corners, because it's also your neighbor then directly to the left, you know, would have that line of sight, and we want to make sure that we protect both property owners in that piece of it. So I can understand why you would be positioning it that way, but we want to make sure that there's not creating, you know, by granting a variance, that you're not creating a hardship for the neighbor as well.
And if it helps, I had submitted this in the public hearing, I believe it was called as well. All of the neighbors that are on, I'm on a very small cul-de-sac. If you drove by, there's 4 other houses on our cul-de-sac. All 4 of those neighbors are fully supportive of the fence. They're aware of the location. They have all sent letters that were signed, and I dropped off with Chris Gruba, who is part of the public hearing process. He has the signed letters. I have the printed letters showing support from truly the only 4 homeowners that would ever drive by this fence on the small cul-de-sac. So everyone nearby, I do understand that point, and everyone is in support, if it helps.
Any other comments from the board members?
Nothing.
Okay.
My comment would be is that this is a corner lot, and a corner lot is found out throughout the subdivision, throughout our village. And so regardless of the situation or whatnot, we look at the land, as Trustee Savaria said, and this situation occurs, or even has the potentially occur, because there's a lot of vacant lots out there.
Yeah.
So I do not see the hardship. I see that it could very well kind of set the tone and a precedent for that. We have many lots, and even in our downtown, that respect that 4 feet.
Yes.
If there's no further comments from the board, thank you.
May I say one final thing?
Yes.
I'm sorry. To me, this isn't an aesthetic thing, and I know that you have other lots that you have to protect. I just hope that this could be considered a safety concern, and that could count as a hardship for any, you know, future lots going forward, that this would differentiate my lot. And I just beg you guys to put yourself in my shoes. I'm really just trying to protect my kid from an aggressive situation when really my only other option is to move, and that's just not feasible. That's it. I'm sorry. I'm just asking.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. We have a motion by Trustee Ledden. We have a second by Trustee Borelli. And we'll go now to our clerk, Katie Schubert, for the vote. And this vote, again, the motion's made in the affirmative. But if you're voting to deny the fence, you would vote no. And it'll need 2/3 of the trustees affirmative in order to vote. So, Clerk?
Trustee Petro?
No.
Trustee Burley?
No.
Trustee Rossi?
No.
Trustee Ledden?
Yes.
Trustee Severia?
No.
And Trustee Rigoni?
No.
All right, so,
And motion does not pass.
yes, so the motion, the denial continued there, so. Next item that we have on our agenda is the mayor's report. This weekend, we will have the annual Get Hooked on Frankfort Fishing Derby, June 24th at Prairie Park for youngsters ages 3 to 12. The registration is closed. The event did sell out, but we're looking forward to having a good event again. It's a lot of fun for the kids. Our weekly car show continues. The Cruise in Frankfort continues every Monday evening through September 25th. It's from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock in downtown Frankfort. The Country Market continues every Sunday through October 29th, and it'll go from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m., and it's also in downtown parking lots there. The Concerts on the Green entertainment for this Sunday coming up is Sushi Roll, which is rock, pop, and dance, and they will start at 6:30 p.m. They go till 8 o'clock. Visit thefrankfortchamber.com for the 2023 Concert on the Green schedule. Make sure you bring a chair or a blanket, and also visit some of our shops and restaurants while you're down there. The Friday on the Green series, which is a partnership between the Frankfort Public Library and the Village of Frankfort, will host the next event on June 30th at Brighter Green, and that goes from 10 o'clock until 11 o'clock. And the entertainment will feature the Fun Balloon Show Guy. For additional details and a full list of performers that are featured this year, go to thefrankfortlibrary.org. Our Summer Beautification Award nomination applications are available at the Village Administration Building here, which is 432 West Nebraska, and also on the Village website. The deadline for receipt of all the entries is June 30th, and the awards will be presented in July. And we appreciate people beautifying their homes, they're doing their landscaping. It's impressive when people come to our town, and we're very appreciative, and we want to recognize you for this. Our 4th of July fireworks are scheduled for Tuesday, July 4th at Main Park, which is 200 South Locust Street. The park will open at 7 o'clock, and the DJ entertainment will begin at 7:30. The spectacular firework display will begin at approximately 9:15 and is sponsored by the Frankfort Firefighters Foundation, the Frankfort Firefighters Local 4338, and by the Village of Frankfort. And a save the date here, the 11th Annual Bluegrass Festival is scheduled for Saturday, July 8th and Sunday, July 9th in downtown Frankfort. This is a free 2-day family-friendly event which features over 40 performances, more than 20 national, regional, and local bands. Enjoy the free concerts. There's workshops, kids activity area, and lots of picking and jamming. Fun for the whole family. FrankfortBluegrassFest.com for full details. Now, this is also an internationally recognized festival. They've gotten awards, and it's pretty amazing. So we definitely encourage you if you've never been to it before. I'd like to wish everyone a belated Father's Day, how important that is, and for the new grandfathers that are in the board around, too. It was a great weekend. And that's all for the mayor's report, and we will go to our clerk, Katie Schubert, for board comments.
Thank you, Mayor Ogle. 2 things tonight. One is twice this week I've had neighbors and acquaintances tell me what a great job our Public Works Department is doing, because we had a water main break downtown that was a big problem, and our Public Works were out late at night doing their jobs, making sure everyone had what they needed. And our neighbor also had some property damage, and the village came in and helped them take care of it. So 2 things this week, thanking our Public Works Department, and also a reminder that in July, our July meetings are July 10th and 24th because of observance of the holidays. so, or of the holiday on July 4th. So, and that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Clerk. Trustee Ledden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too would like to wish everyone a happy Father's Day. Hope you enjoyed the wonderful weekend. The weather truly cooperated. I did go out and pull some weeds, so if you want to vote for me for the beautification award, we got till June 30th. They'll be back by then. So, and the other thing I wanted to congratulate Chief Chalepis on completing that Northwestern graduate level training course. That's a very impressive accomplishment. Thank you for doing that. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustee Zavaria.
Nothing really, Mayor. I'm looking forward to the Bluegrass Festival and the fireworks, and hopefully people come out and enjoy it. But other than that, I guess happy belated Father's Day and Grandfather's Day. So,
Trustee Rigoni.
I would just like to thank Chief Chalepis and her group. Cone with a Cup was a little rainy, a little dreary, but there is nice to see. It's always a well-attended event, and who doesn't want some ice cream? And we got to see the canine, so I appreciate it. It was rainy, and you all stuck it out, so I appreciate your extra efforts and time.
Thank you. Trustee Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to remind everybody that coming up here soon tonight is the Movies on the Green that's hosted by the Park District. So I'm looking forward to one of my favorite childhood movies, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And also tomorrow is the Short Run on a Long Day, which also happens to be the one and only 5K I always run because it is our hometown race that you get to run through the streets of Frankfort. So I think they're still taking same-day registration if anybody's interested in that. The weather has turned, and it is so exciting to see all the events that Frankfort offers during these summer months. So I just encourage everybody, whether it's car shows, which was pretty busy this last Monday, movies, the outdoor dining, and a huge shout out to our Public Works because they certainly have made those yellow, orange blockades look very decorative this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Borelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I missed the last meeting. I was on a long overdue family vacation, so I apologize for missing, but I did want to just say how wonderful the 60423 day really was. A really big thank you to Sue Lynn. She amazing job she did, and I just want to publicly acknowledge her and you know, Mr. Ken Pataki, who did a great job emceeing, so good job, Ken. And Chief Chalepis, that's an awesome accomplishment, by the way, just especially with all you have going on, not just being chief and mom and everything you do, wife, so it's just an incredible accomplishment. Congratulations. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thanks. Trustee Rossi.
Last but not least, congratulations, Chief. Great job. We appreciate your doing it. And the other thing is I appreciate my wife tonight. It's her birthday, and she did not get upset with me being here, so happy birthday, Sue.
Thank you, Dan. Now we'll go to Rob Pisha for Village Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we mentioned, 60423 Day, just want to let everybody know that the highlights from the event are now on our Facebook page. They'll also get to see them on Channel 6. So I wanted to give a shout out to Kevin Del Grosso for streamlining all the video and everything that was taken during the event, and he did a great job of putting it all together. But if you want to relive the drone show, you can now watch it on Facebook and or watch it on Channel 6. And also, since we did move the meetings, I want to wish everybody a safe and 4th of July. And as we always say, leave the fireworks to professionals. I think a lot of the fireworks shows in Frankfort rival the actual professional shows. So we ask you to please leave it to the professionals. But everybody have a safe holiday. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Rob. Now to our police chief for the police department report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to remind everyone that we encourage everyone to always call in suspicious persons, incidents, and vehicles. You can always dial 911, but if people are more comfortable calling our non-emergency, you can always call 815-485-2500. And lastly, my weekly reminder or monthly reminder to always lock vehicle doors, close overhead garage doors, and never to leave keys or key fobs inside your car. And that's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. And now we go to George Mahoney for the...
Mayor, I have no report for you and your colleagues.
Thank you, George. Is there any other business to come before the board tonight for consideration?
Mayor, I wanted to talk about the parking discussion from the committee of the whole, just quickly. We said we'd talk about that tonight.
Yes. Whether
Okay.
we would consider the RAFIs.
The RAFIs, and I appreciate getting a chance to see it, but based on what I saw, I really wasn't interested in pursuing it, and just wanted to see if my colleagues agree that we should move forward with that parking lot.
Okay. So general consensus was, Rapi's had put in a conceptual proposal for the MEC property. And was there interest in pursuing that or continuing down with,
I did have time to think about that. I tend to agree with trustee Borelli, just simply because we're not gaining anything. We're just kind of moving one business to another, and then we would have a vacancy where they currently exist. I think that the need for parking right now is kind of greatly outweighs that. So, but I do appreciate it, you bring it to the board for consideration, but that's kind of where I sit.
My only request was further understanding whether we understood where the building would be and if there'd be an opportunity to incorporate parking in there. But it sounds as if this time it's very conceptual discussion points, and I don't want to belabor or hold up parking, since we aren't further along with that opportunity for.
The other aspect of that is I think that we would almost have to open up to an RFP to be consistent, and that further delays, and we might end up right back where we are, so.
sure. Yeah, if there's not interest from the board in entertaining that, then we'll close that out. Okay? All right, any other business to come before the board tonight? Okay. There is no one in the public at this point for public comment, unless they're hiding behind the podium. So can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Second.
All right, trustee Savaria with the motion, trustee Borelli with the second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.